Alright, so in this part, I'm going to demonstrate with the occluder again how to wind a cable. Now, I'm in my hallway for a couple of reasons. For starters, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unwrap this cable tie. It's a nice little piece of Velcro. It's a good organizational tool. You can get them off of Amazon in packs of 200 for like, I don't know, $7 or $8. Just a little piece of Velcro that wraps around one end of a cable. In this case, the female receptacle. And it just lets you wind the cable and hold it together with the Velcro. Now I'm going to grab the male section of this cable and I'm going to throw it out. Now as I threw it out and it went down the hall, it completely straightened out. And by that I mean there's no kinks in the cable. It's nice and fluid. It's a smooth cable. There's no issues with it. Now I'm going to throw it back out. And I'm going to stand back. I'm going to put the occluder on and now I'm going to begin the over-under technique. So the cable's behind me and I have in my right hand the cable. This is the male plug of the extension. I'm going to put this male plug into my left hand. I'm going to bring the cable under my left elbow and bring it to the upper outside of my left arm. It's going to wrap around into the palm of my hand and I'm going to grab it. Now I'm going to follow the cable with my right hand. My right hand is palm up and my left hand is knuckle up. So they're opposites, okay? Now I'm going to grab the cable with my right hand and I'm going to twist my elbow outwards. I'm going to do that again. This is the magic trick. What's going to happen is my elbow is going to twist upwards, which is going to cause my wrist to rotate and going from a palm up to a palm down position. This is going to cross the cable over and I have the lead behind me. I have the bridge in between my two hands and it's going to cross the lead over the bridge between my two hands. I'm going to bring that lead to my left hand and grip it. And now I have a figure eight and I have the slack figure eight in my right hand being pulled on by my right thumb. And I'm going to bring that now underneath my left elbow and then I'm going to pull on the slack to tighten it. Then I'm going to proceed with a standard loop. So I did a standard loop, a twisted loop, and now another standard loop. So these are the first three loops. I'm going standard, twist, alternating all the way through. So I've completed my next standard loop. I just bring it under my elbow, up my arm, grip it again. Now I pull out my bridge. I rotate my elbow, turning my wrist from palm up to palm down. The lead is crossed over my bridge. I bring the bridge to the palm of my hand. I pull nice and tight. Now I have a loop again. Bring the loop, the figure eight loop, underneath my left elbow. Pull tight with the lead again. And then do a standard loop. And what do you know? I'm at the end of my cable. I'm going to tie this up nice and neat. And here we go. I have now my neatly prepared cable. And I can hang this in my closet. It's not going to fall apart. I'm going to drop it. Boom, it's on the ground. I'm going to go pick it back up. And it maintains its integrity. This will make your cables last longer. It will prevent internal kinks from happening. And it will make your cables less likely to have an internal break. If there's an internal break, the cable can short. And a lot of other things can go wrong. For ease of use, I remove the cable tie again. It's still wearing the occluder. I'm going to grab the male plug. Always grab the outside plug. So remember, I started with the male plug in my left hand and I wrapped around it, which meant that the male plug is on the inside while I'm winding it. But while I'm unwinding it, the male plug is on the outside. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to toss this out and it's going to be nice and straight. Okay, there it is, nice and straight. And I'm going to feed it through my hand and I can tell that there's no loops. This is a good magic trick. Now I'm going to show you the version that is the bad magic trick. So here we go. Cable's in my hand. I'm going to do the quick over-under technique. I can do it without looking at it, nice and quick. I used to do this as a lineman and I used to be able to wind 50-foot cables in less than 10 seconds. So it's real easy, tactile sort of motor skill to master. Now it's wound up again. Here we go. We're going to do the bad magic trick. Now the bad magic trick, we're going to unwind and check it out. I've got my plug and my plug, which should be on the outside, I'm going to bring it through the loop. Okay, so instead of the plug being on the outside of the loop, coming towards you, the camera, I'm going to bring it underneath. And here's what's going to happen when I bring it underneath. Okay, so it's underneath this whole coil of lead. And now watch what happens. Ah, I can hear it. It tied up. See, here are the knots. I don't even have to see it. There's the knots. Those are the knots. That's the bad magic trick. You just tangled up your whole cable and made a big old mess, and now you got to untie the whole damn thing, which is a nightmare because now there's a bunch of loops. For every loop in your wind, there is now a knot, and you got to feed it through. And I can do this with an occluder on because I've done this for years. Let me figure out which end this is. Okay, that's the plug. So going this way through the right hand, and there it is. Those were all the loops. Okay, there was just 3 of them because there were only 3 winds. I'm going to go ahead and wind it again. So here we go. I'm going to put the plug in my left hand. The plug is facing out, away from me. I'm going to bring the cable down on the inside of my left arm, wrap it around the upside of my outer left arm. That's my first loop. That's the straight loop. Now we're going to do the twisted loop. Make a bridge. Twist your wrist. Cross the lead over the bridge, creating the figure 8. Grip the figure 8 with your left hand. Pull the figure 8 tight with your right hand. Bring the figure 8 underneath your left elbow. Now you have completed the twisted loop. Let's do another straight loop. All right, so we've got the straight loop completed. Just bring it under the elbow, around the outer side of the arm. Grip it again. Here we go. Now we have a new bridge. My right hand is palm side up. My left hand is knuckle side up. I'm going to grip the lead, cross it over. Boom, I've got my lead crossing the bridge. Bring that over to my left hand. Got another figure 8. Pull the figure 8 nice and tight. Bring it under the elbow. Boom. That is the twisted loop complete. Now I'm going to do my final straight loop. And there we go. We have a alternating wound cable completely and nicely and neatly wound up. And here it is, done, ready to be hanged on the wall in your equipment room, equipment shed. And everything's nice and neat, taken care of. This will make the cable last 20, 30 years instead of 2 to 3 years, because again, cables take about 6 months to develop memory, and then once they develop that memory over the span of 6 or so months, being in that position, going in the opposite direction of the bend that was ingrained in the cable will break the lead over time. It takes about 2 to 3 years once the memory has been broken into the cable. Once that's happened, it takes about 2-3 years of bending it in the opposite direction to break it. And it's really common for a cable to have memory and then somebody tries to straighten it out by pulling on it or bending it in the opposite way. That actually makes it worse. So if you have a cable with a bunch of memory in it, which means it's all bent up, kinked up, your best bet is just to toss it out and get a new one, because it's likely to break on the inside and then cause a short, which will then lead to a fire. All right, I'm going to take the occluder off. Thank you guys for watching that. We're now going to go back to the studio and we're going to just do some last minute wrap up. Visit theaciddrip.com for more content.